Hello there, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I thought we could have a look through my second ever completed sketchbook. I forgot to put stickers on the front, so maybe we'll pop some stickers on the front now. The timeline is completely out of sorts. I didn't own these stickers then, but let's pop some on. I kind of want to do a bit of a theme, so I'm thinking maybe we just do something like some of these postage stamps over them. This pink one is really cute. These stickers are so cute. I got them from Stationery Pal, which is a Japanese stationery shop. This sketchbook I started on the 1st of July and finished at the end of the year, so it was about 6 months. And this sketchbook was really during the process when I was trying to teach myself about watercolour. Because I'm self-taught, the majority of work in here is from YouTube tutorials. It was when I was trying to teach myself, so I'll try and tag everything below. The very first page, I swatched out my Himi Jelly Gouache palette. Generally, I get a little bit scared to use the first page, so the first page I will keep really simple, and swatches are the best way to do that. I actually messed up the name. Then I continued and swatched all of the watercolours I had at the time. I've definitely increased my collection since then. Okay, so this sketchbook originally was supposed to be just fine liner. It was supposed to be like black and white and just pure kind of like tattoo designs sort of style. That's what I originally wanted to do. And I literally did this very first page and I did these and was like, no, I'm not good at them. And I just completely moved on. Like the entire concept of this sketchbook just changed. I added a little bit of watercolor here, and this one is actually a little bit of wet on wet with gouache because I didn't use watercolor. I did my black and white theme and it looked awful, so it lasted a double page and then I moved on. These eyes I do really quite like. They're not realistic, but I think they're quite cool. This one is actually acrylic. I can't remember what I was doing at the time, but I had a bit of paint on my palette and I wanted to use it up. These two are galaxies. I absolutely love painting galaxies. This was like the beginning of my galaxy experience, and these look so bad compared to what I do nowadays, but I do like the two colours, the way they go into a V. I just think they look so dull. I think it's because the colours aren't very vibrant. I didn't do many layers, but also the white isn't very bright. It just looks really dull. This one was done in acrylic. I had paint on my palette, lots of colours, and I literally just put them all together in a spiral and saw what happened. I don't like wasting paint, so I try to use it. This one, I think I did in the car. I saw something on Pinterest that was kind of this style and I really liked it. So I did it in fine liner in the car, and then I added red watercolour to the outside, but you can tell it's really cheap because it's so patchy. This one is with Jelly Gouache. I used my Himi Jelly Gouache, and the reference was a digital art painting. I think the person, I found them on Instagram like years later, and I think it's like Sam Does Art, and I really like the picture, but look how messy the skin tone is. It just kept reactivating and I wasn't used to gouache, but I ended up putting wax on as well just so that it didn't transfer, because it did start to transfer. So the wax is really good, the wax that I use. These two I also saw on Pinterest. This one I think is by etchr, I think might be her name. I'll pop it here. It was a digital art piece that I tried to recreate in watercolour. It was really difficult. This one I think I just saw on Pinterest, but I really liked the idea of using gouache in a kind of 2D style. I really liked that. These two I also saw on Pinterest. I've done so many different styles. Like I just did 4 portraits in such different styles. I was really trying to figure out what I like. I absolutely love this style and I love the granulation around here. It probably doesn't look as good as the original. I think the original was digital that I saw on Pinterest, but I liked the style and I wanted to try it out. This one I saw on Pinterest. I don't think it had this. I think I added this, but I wanted to try out different styles. I don't think it made me closer to my style, but I do like it. This page didn't go as planned. I saw this video on, I think it was just a TikTok, and it was basically someone did wet on wet with metallic watercolor, but my metallics just got really watered down. It just didn't work. I think if I had like Calero or expensive ones, it might have been better, but it just wet on wet with metallics for me. It just really watered down the metallics, so it didn't really work. This one I also saw on Pinterest. Originally, I just did one layer of watercolor. Well, I did do one layer of watercolor, and then I thought it looked really flat, so I ended up adding a little bit of color pencil, and I think that really just kind of made it pop. These two, I think I did get the ideas from Pinterest. I used salt for this and I've never had salt go as well as it did for this one. I don't know why, I don't know how, it absolutely fluked it. I've never had salt go this well and I've tried since and I just can't replicate it. I think the jellyfish don't look fantastic, but the salt here I love. This one, I actually used fineliner for the middle. It was just kind of like a really basic style, but it was really fun. These two did start to transfer though, so I did have to put wax on these as well. I found there was quite a lot of transfer in this book. Oh, this page. Okay, I don't think these pages worked. These pages, let's go through it. So this one is one colour and I basically did a load of layering and I do feel like I learned a bit from it, but the trees are so wobbly. And then these ones, this one is watercolour, but I think that one's fineliner on top. I basically wanted to be able to put one watercolour layer down and then add some stuff and that would be it done. I think what this page taught me is you have to put the time in to get good results. You can't try and skip it and that's why they don't look great. This page I do really like. I think the perspective on the beach does kind of bother me still, but I really like the colours. This was done with the himi gouache as well. This page was really fun, honestly. So I did a load of blues. I mean, to be honest, it's pretty self-explanatory. The blue lines were really fun. The triangles were really quite fun as well. I love all of these colours as well. This colour palette would be like my favourite colour palette, doing all these pinks, purples and blues. A little bit of moon glow as well, and I absolutely love that shade. I have no clue what it is. It might be like Malvern neutral tint or something. That one's got a little bit of cobalt teal in though. You can see the separation. But this was a really fun page. Like, I definitely recommend these kind of ideas. This page I actually really love. This page I used masking fluid and I did random kind of flower design things. And I had my masking tape around the outside. And what I did was I added really light colours at the time. The first layer was really light, like white, and it had like little bits of pink and green and it just looked really it didn't work. So then the second layer I added Payne's grey on top and then I kind of left the pink areas and the green areas, but I probably could have done a little bit darker. I probably could have done one more Payne's grey, but the Payne's grey really made it pop. I really like this one. When I peeled it off, it looked really good. I like the idea. It's really simple. These pages were really fun. I wanted to try a little bit of abstract, so I put a little bit of watercolour down and then I did swirly lines with gel pen. It was really fun. Okay, this one didn't work. I saw this idea on Pinterest of, I think it was like little tattoos of these kind of mountains. This one is so wobbly, this line. I don't know what happened there. But I saw these little mountains and I thought about doing like the sky but leaving the mountains. The problem is none of the skies look like skies. The kitchen roll, you can see all the marks. None of the skies look like skies. So I wouldn't mind redoing something like this, but yeah, they don't look great. This one I am quite happy with. I simultaneously do and don't like the fold being there. I like it because it's a nice double page, but it's also kind of like, oh, I'd like to see the whale without it, you know? I think this was actually kind of ripping here. I can't remember what happened, but there was a reason that I ended up filling it in with gouache. It wasn't a good reason. The clouds look really messy, but I do quite like this one. These two are from Pinterest. This one looks really similar. I think it's by the same artist as my very last page in my first sketchbook tour, which I'll pop here if you're interested. I think it's by the same artist, but I was really happy with how both of these went, and I think these two are kind of what encouraged me to venture a little bit more into portraits and people, because this hand I really am happy with, but that one does look quite similar to the reference. I really like the granulation. This page I just find it kind of cringe. I think it's just this one being like that. The shadows, I've never done shadows like this before where they're kind of 2D, so I wanted to try that with gouache, and I used actual photo references, and that's probably half the reason they didn't turn out great, but this is what this page looks like. This is actually my acrylics. I did acrylic swatches in here, and I can't remember where, somewhere it did sort of stick together a little bit. I just wanted to try and put my acrylics somewhere. Most of them are not good quality. You can see that like none of them are opaque. Even the whites aren't even opaque really. That's what happens when you have cheap paint. These two are both from Pinterest. I think this one is Dominic Buehler. I absolutely love his work, so I wanted to try and recreate one of his styles. I didn't do it justice at all, but I think it's decent, and you can see that I was still trying to do it. This one, I don't know who that's from. It was Pinterest. The issue with this one is the nose is too small. But I do really like these. It was kind of stepping into a little bit more realistic than the earlier portraits, but also very loose and flowy, and I do like them. This was me trying a little bit of minimalist abstract again. I wanted to use different colours and try and do simple lines like this. This one especially I really like. To be fair, I think it's a pretty cool page. I do like this one. These two, again, are me trying out portraits. This one, I'm really happy with the skin tone. I think there's a really good level of what's blended and what's not. I think it worked really well. This one I really do quite like as well. But yeah, they're both from Pinterest. Okay, for these two, I wanted to create really simple kind of landscapes with watercolour, but both of these I used white for, and you can kind of tell, I think, that there's a slight pastel-y effect to them. There's like no depth here because there's white in them, but I wanted to try out using white because I do not use white at all in watercolour, so I thought I'd just give it a go. I like the kind of loose look to it though and all the splatters. I do think it's fun. This spread was me getting a little bit more comfortable with watercolour and gouache. These are watercolour and these ones are gouache. This one I do really like, and I think this one's quite decent to be fair. I was using actual photo references and it just kind of shows where I'd come since the beginning. I think I got a lot more confident by this point. These two, I think I got the idea from Pinterest as well. I really like the layering here. I really like the granulation. I'm pretty sure that's ultramarine. I think the trees kind of let it down, but I do like the reflection. I think I'm really quite happy with that. I haven't done anything since it's had mountains like them. This one I kind of reworked. So originally I had, well, the blue background, the darker pink and the darker green, and this white completely cracked. And then I decided to do another layer on top, like this was about 4 months later, and I filled in the white and it didn't crack this time. I think it was just too thick. I added the lighter pink kind of dry brush and the lighter green, and it just really made it a lot better. I put the little frame around as well, the little frame around both of them. It made it a lot better, so I do think if you don't like something, you really can change it, even if it's months later. These two I absolutely love. Alcohol drops. If you've seen my last sketchbook tour, you'll see that I tried it for the first time and it didn't work. These two, it just worked. I don't know what it is, it's different paper and it honestly worked. You can see just the circles and like this one especially, the circles and how it's all formed around the watercolour. I absolutely love these two. I think the designs I did see on Pinterest, but the alcohol drop, I just wanted to keep trying it, and I have actually used it since and I've not got anything as good as this. So I think it really depends on the paper. This one I'm going to quickly skip over. I really like the pastel sky, but this was my first proper original piece that I created from scratch and I don't like how it went, so it really kind of set me back. But that was that. They were supposed to be kind of statues. They were statues as references, but it just didn't really work. These two, this one I wanted to try a kind of lo-fi theme and it was difficult. They look so simple, but the level of detail that's on the background and everything, I was trying to see whether I liked it, but you know what? I don't like it. I don't like that level of detail. I like it to be quite flowy. I used fineliner for this portrait, but I just don't think it really worked, so I didn't use fineliner after this. These two I absolutely love. I saw photos on Pinterest. I think they were even done in gouache, and I was like, I want to create that exact kind of thing. I want to try it with my gouache. And it was a flame and a duck that I saw. I think they were separate, but the duck I really love, and I'm really happy with how the flame went as well. I've really struggled with flames with watercolour, but I found it a lot easier with gouache, being able to add white. And the last page is the date. We finished it in 6 months, this entire thing. This sketchbook was a Strathmore 500. I am going to be doing a review on this sketchbook, so make sure you're subscribed for that. I like this one so much that I bought an A4 one, and then when I bought the A4 one, I realised I don't like it that much. So it's definitely going to be an interesting review. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed having a look through my sketchbook. If you have, I would love if you could like and subscribe. That would mean so much. This was my second sketchbook. I've currently got 6 that are completed, so let me know if you want to see any more. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!